Hello and welcome to Trust Me, I'm a Philosopher. Today we're talking about a company that has been a giant in our lives for decades, Sony. From the Walkman to the PlayStation, Sony has consistently delivered products that have defined eras of innovation and entertainment. They've built a reputation for excellence, precision and technological prowess. You might feel a sense of loyalty to the brand and a belief that their gadgets just work. But beneath that glossy, innovative surface lies a history of corporate mishap, data breaches, and public relations challenges that have repeatedly shaken customer trust right to its core. Now, our question isn't whether Sony is a good company. Don't get me wrong, they make some great products. I own some of them. Our question is this. In an age of data insecurity and corporate missteps, can a company be both a genius innovator and also a repeat offender? Let's take a closer look at Sony's track record and perhaps finally understand the strange paradox of a brand that we trust with our entertainment, but not necessarily with our data. Our story begins in 2005, long before the age of cloud-based music. Sony BMG, that's the company's musical division, decided to tackle piracy head-on by embedding a new program into CDs. When a customer inserted one of those CDs into their Windows computer, the extended copy protection software would install itself without permission, all to stop you from making a personal copy. Harmless, right? Well, it gets better. This program wasn't just copy protection, it was a rootkit. It burrowed deep into your computer's operating system, silently monitoring your listening habits and creating a security loophole that could be exploited by malicious software. A security expert sounded the alarm and public outrage swelled. But when asked about the problem, a Sony executive famously quipped, "Most people, I think, don't even know what a rootkit is, so why should they care about it?" That was Mr. Thomas Hess, at the time the president of Sony BMG Global Digital Business. That sentiment, a sort of casual contempt for the user, poured gasoline onto the fire. Sony was forced into a massive recall and faced a barrage of lawsuits. It was a spectacular self-inflicted wound, and it was only the beginning of our story. Fast forward to 2011, the world's now connected, and Sony's PlayStation network was the beating heart of online gaming. Then, in April of that year, the system vanished. The service went offline, and for a staggering 24 days. This wasn't routine maintenance. It was in fact a massive cyber attack and data breach. The personal information of around 77 million users was compromised, including names, addresses, email passwords, and so on. It was later revealed that some of this sensitive data was stored without encryption, a truly baffling security oversight for a company of that size. The backlash was immense, but made worse by the fact that Sony waited a full week to tell its customers they'd been hacked. The incident became a case study in how not to handle a crisis, turning a fantastically loyal user base into a sea of worried customers. A few years further on, in 2014, the drama shifted from gaming to Hollywood. Sony Pictures Entertainment was seemingly brought to its knees by a hacktivist group calling themselves the Guardians of Peace. The motive behind the attack was possibly an absurd one. The hackers, who US authorities at the time linked to North Korea, was reported at least as wanting to stop the release of a comedy film called The Interview, which featured the fictional assassination of Kim Jong-un. Whatever the motivation, the resulting data leak was devastating. Confidential documents, executive emails, and even unreleased films were dumped straight onto the internet. The sheer volume of sensitive information was staggering. The leak revealed internal politics, executive salaries, and in one particularly cringeworthy moment, some truly embarrassing emails, considering remarks that at best are racially insensitive, and also some very negative comments about celebrities. The scandal was simply a chaotic spectacle, a kind of modern digital tragedy that unfolded in real time in front of us. And it forced a major studio to pull a film from general release, prompted. Now, in recent years, the controversies have shifted from large-scale hacks to policy decisions that have caused friction with both creators and fans. So, for instance, since 2018, Sony's PlayStation division has been accused of inconsistent censorship of video games. Developers have openly voiced their frustrations, pointing to a lack of clear guidelines and the additional work it creates. It's a thorny issue that shows a gaming company grappling with its global image whilst navigating the choppy waters of cultural sensitivities and perceived double standards. And finally, the corporate drama returned in 2024 with a fresh round of layoffs. Sony announced it would lay off 900 employees from its PlayStation division, a significant cut of around 8% of its global workforce. The cuts included the closure of the beloved London studio and a reduction in staff at top developers. The justification? Executives cited a dynamically changing industry and a need to adjust after a pandemic-era boom. But the timing drew widespread criticism, especially since the PlayStation 5 had been a major commercial success, with the company posting highly profitable financial records just before the announcement. Really, the move was seen as a cold business decision, one that prioritised a short-term bottom line over long-term employee morale and creative stability. So with all of this drama, how does Sony continue to thrive? This is where some interesting statistics come in, revealing what seem like a fascinating trust paradox. According to data from comparably.com, a company like Sony has a net promoter score of 36, which is pretty good, but it's lower than competitors like Apple and Microsoft. The same survey found that 81% of Sony users consider themselves loyal customers. So what gives? How can a company like Sony vary so much in how it's seen by the wider world? The key, I think, to understanding this is to recognise that trust is not a single monolithic thing. It's fundamentally compartmentalised. We can trust a Sony PlayStation to provide an incredible gaming experience. We can trust a Sony camera to capture beautiful images. In fact, I'm recording on one right now. We can feel a deep sense of loyalty to the product and the innovation behind it. But the data from a 2023 YouGov survey shows that a mere 25% of US consumers trust tech companies with their personal data. Sony's track record with the rootkit and PSN hacks places it squarely within this wider context of distrust. So, it seems that we have collectively chosen to compartmentalise our trust. We trust Sony's products to work, we trust Sony to make great products, but we remain sceptical of the company's motives and its ability to handle our most sensitive information. It seems like a brand built on the foundation of genius, but with a reputation for data security and transparency that has been less than flawless. And in the digital age, that's a challenge that every company must confront. Now, let me know in the comments what you do and do not trust Sony to do. I think it's really interesting to tease those things apart and understand the nuances of our attitudes towards companies. And if you've enjoyed the video, then give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, stay suitably trusting.